cut my hair short. I am currently about 30... I just hit 39 weeks actually, so I'm super pregnant. Ugh. Hi guys, Annette here and welcome to another episode of Glowing Up. So today I am going to be doing a review on my pregnancy, and I'm going to be sharing the entire process of when I first found out till right now. I am literally about to pop any moment. I could give birth right now actually. But yes, so let's begin from the very first chapter, my first trimester. I found out about the 5-week mark, I think. I basically did a pregnancy test kit, and honestly it wasn't super shocking or anything because I tracked my period, right? My period had not come at 55 days, and my period intervals are normally within 30 days to 40 days, 43 days at most. By the time I hit 45 days and then I hit 50, I just knew it. What could it be, right? So how did I feel when I first saw it? If I were to say there was not much surprise to it, right? Of course we were still very excited, but at the same time I was also very nervous. I think obviously it's your first pregnancy, you'll be very nervous, right? And it was just a whole mix of emotions because I was just thinking, oh my goodness, what do I do now? And you just feel very clueless and very lost all of a sudden because something just changed in your body and in your life and you just don't know what to do. If I'm being honest, right, this was earlier than we had sort of planned. Ralph and I were thinking, okay, we want to try and maybe get pregnant in the middle of the year. And so we tried in December 2021, and we thought, because according to the average statistic, people take about half a year to conceive. And so we thought, okay, half a year. But then it happened within a couple months. Now we realized that, okay, I was about to work on a bunch of new projects, and now it was going to be a bit of a mess. I had to sort that out. So I would say it was a really huge mix of emotions. At this point, I didn't really have any morning sickness yet. It started coming in only about the 7th week mark, I think. Fun fact, do you know that morning sickness doesn't actually just happen in the morning? It can happen any time of the day. It can hit you at night. There were just certain days where I just was out of it, but I'm so thankful, right? For some reason, on the days where I had a rehearsal or had a filming, because I remember I was filming this documentary and I was literally 2 months pregnant. And I remember there was one day where I had to go to a cafe and film, but I was feeling so horrible in the morning. I was just so nauseous. So I just ate a bit of biscuits and then I went there and I managed to survive somehow. And on the days where I wasn't feeling so good, where I was really completely out of it, so happened I was at home. I don't know how the universe aligned for me, but hallelujah, praise the Lord, it just worked out that way. And then during that 2nd month-ish period also, so I decided to do my own prenatal workouts. There were some specific exercises where I couldn't really balance properly. It was lunges or something. I don't know. I injured myself doing it on my own. And I remember I woke up one day at the 7-week mark and I sprained my ankle. And it was so painful that I rushed to the gynae, and that was my very first gynae visit. So initially, the gynae usually won't see you until about the 8th or 9th week, because they might not be able to see anything yet. But I was in so much pain, I just went, even though it wasn't really related to the pregnancy. And we did our very first ultrasound, and it was very cute. He looked like a little prawn. It was like you ate a prawn and then he's just swimming in there, but just stuck in a corner. So very cute. And that was really exciting because you could hear the heartbeat and everything also.
So I'm gonna let you listen to the heartbeat, huh?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah, ready?
But yeah, so my doctor just gave me painkillers and some cream. There's nothing else I could do. I did my concert right after my foot recovered. So again, the timing was perfect. And I was also so thankful, right, that on that day, I didn't have morning sickness. Oh, and then I flew off 1 or 2 days right after my concert. I went on a trip to the US, and surprisingly, I only recall having morning sickness once or twice. And I actually thought that it would be a bummer because, you know, I'm doing a whole 1 month long holiday, which is the longest holiday I've ever done in my life. But I think I just wanted to give myself a break at a point in time because we were planning to have a kid, right? Middle of the year. So it was going to be my last hurrah. And it was supposed to be my last holiday without a baby. And I thought, oh, maybe I wouldn't be able to really enjoy it because I can't drink, I can't take raw food. If I was going to have very bad morning sickness, I was not going to enjoy myself. But I actually super enjoyed myself. It was so fun. It was an amazing 1 month break and I really needed it after working like pretty crazy for a period of few good months before that. I ended off my first trimester with that trip. And yeah, overall, you know, despite all the moments of morning sickness, the worst didn't happen. So I'm very grateful. And for that, I'll give my first trimester experience a good 7 out of 10. So moving on to the second trimester, we started off finding out the gender of our baby, which is a boy. And so yeah, that was a fun start. People always say, right, that the second trimester is the honeymoon trimester. And I totally agree. Because your morning sickness kind of disappears, that affects so many things. It's not just the nausea. Eating started to be a lot more fun when the second trimester hit. One other thing, I started to develop the pregnancy glow. I used to think it was a myth, but oh my gosh, it was kind of a real thing. Because suddenly my skin was very nice. I think now it's not really as good as it was in the second trimester. Apparently it affects your hair also, like your hair becomes richer, which I think it might have been. I didn't really notice, but I noticed my skin. Of course your bump gets a bit bigger, but it wasn't big enough till it's annoying and in your way, the way it would right now in the third trimester. And I think what really helped also is that I also started prenatal gym classes. Honestly, the main reason why I decided to start the gym classes, right, was because I sprained my foot trying workouts on my own. So I told myself I needed to get an instructor who will be there to watch me do things to ensure it was safe. And I think that really helped in terms of energy also and just keeping me strong and fit to continue working during my pregnancy. So yes, I actually continued working a lot also during that second trimester. I felt pretty good because, you know, like I said, I no longer had that morning sickness. I didn't have to think about, oh no, what if I have to feel nauseous in the middle of this shoot? I was so surprised also because for a lot of the shoots that I did, I managed to pass off as not being pregnant, which is very useful for a lot of videos because, you know, when you're acting as, say, a character or something, and it doesn't make sense for you to be pregnant, you have to just not look pregnant because it will be very distracting. But yeah, I was pretty amazed actually, right? I even did this shoot with SCDF. I was like, okay, I need to go and tell everybody, I'm really sorry, I'm gonna look super pregnant in this. But then for some reason, right, the uniform was very flattering. Like, it gave me a waist and I just didn't look pregnant in it. I don't know why. If you have a food baby or something and you're thinking what clothes would help to hide it, guess what? A paramedic uniform is actually one of the best ways. I also went on a few trips during my second try actually. I went to Bangkok, Korea and Maldives for work. Maldives was my last trip already. I still got to swim and, you know, scuba dive and everything. It was really fun. Yeah, it was really nice being able to travel while you're pregnant and still enjoying things. What are some downsides though of second try? I know I was saying it's a honeymoon period, but let me try and be objective with this review and talk about some of the parts that were a bit less fun. So I would say some negatives that came with the second trimester was I started to get pretty constipated for some reason. But it's alright because I just balanced it out with fruits and a lot of oils and things. I think there were moments where I felt a bit peeved towards the end. I was just getting upset, right? Because I started to not be able to fit into a lot of pants already. And so I started to get pretty peeved sometimes where I can't wear these pants. It's so annoying. Then I only have very specific number of pants I can wear and I didn't have enough dresses. So I had to just ration what I'm gonna wear for specific things, which was kind of annoying, but overall, it was still okay. So if I were to look back, I must say, second try, despite working a lot, it's true to what they say, it's the honeymoon pregnancy trimester. I give it a solid 9 or even 9.5 upon 10. Moving on to my third trimester. So this started around early September, and if I'm being honest, this is probably the hardest trimester. For one, my dog Jam passed away and he died really suddenly, and I was so wrecked. It was just crazy, you know, having to deal with carrying a baby. You know, we used to just joke and call Jam my son, like, oh, you know, my son. So it's weird, like, okay, I have one son that just passed away while I'm trying to welcome this new son. To make things worse, in the middle of September, I got COVID for the very first time. And so, right, these things are not even related to the pregnancy, okay? But I just made this entire third trimester experience so uncomfortable and unbearable. I remember the first 2 days of getting COVID, it was the worst thing ever. I used to be so proud of the fact that I was COVID free for such a long time. I didn't even get COVID when I traveled to America, and people were so surprised by that because most of my friends who traveled to the US just managed to contract COVID. But no, I was just hanging out on the streets of LA and New York and nothing happened to me. And then it had to happen in the middle of my third trimester. But looking back, I'm actually thankful it happened because I think getting COVID is probably a 迟早的事. Something that would happen sooner or later. And if I didn't get it back then, it would be worse if I got it now, and I wouldn't want to have COVID while I'm going into labor. Right after I recovered from COVID, I started to get super terrible leg cramps as well. And I think it's because I was just bedridden in pain for about a week, okay? And I think my muscles just atrophied in the third trimester. A lot of offline physical events started to come back. So the third trimester also coincidentally became my busiest trimester. I worked more than I did in the first 2 trimesters combined. That's how much new work started to come in. And I really didn't take up a lot of the work already. I was trying to be as selective as I could, but it was just still so many because there were a lot of things that I truly were interested and wanted to do also. It's nobody's fault, it's just my own. I did my final singing performance, 20 minutes with 4 or 5 songs. I tell you, by the end of it, wow, I can't believe I could breathe through this whole thing, but I did it. I was pretty proud of myself, but it was tiring. And we were filming the third music video for the Ann and Ben show, right? And I had full choreography. It was so crazy because that was one of the more physically taxing shoots I had done. So I finished up my last work engagement for October, right? And I told myself I'm not going to accept anything from November onwards really because I need to chill out because my expected due date is the 3rd week of November, which is next week. But I was in discussions with YouTube to host the YouTube Fan Fest on the 11th of November. I decided, okay, I'll just put that into my calendar as the only external event for my November itself, and told them there was a very high chance I would give birth. But surprisingly, I made it. This guy just stayed in there all the way. I remember just a few days before that, I was thinking, you know what, it wouldn't be too bad a thing if I just gave birth because I was just so exhausted already. But now that I've completed it, I'm so thankful I did it, man. Like, it was so much fun. So thanks for staying in there. But oh yeah, so you know, in the third trimester you get a bit of acid reflux also because you just got no space because the baby is just trying to push all your organs aside. Oh, and also, one thing that was horrible is that I started to wake up every 1 to 2 times in the middle of the night to pee. If I wake up once in the night to pee, it's probably because I was super exhausted from that day and I just am not able to even feel my bladder waking me up. I've been having interrupted sleep for the past 2 or 3 months already. I've never slept more than 4 or 5 hours consecutively. And especially in the last week, I don't think I've made it through 3 or 4 hours. By the 3rd or 4th hour, I'm up going to the bathroom and then I come back and then the same thing happens again another 3 or 4 hours later. So yeah, the trimester is tiring. There were honestly really good moments also, you know, even though my dog passed on, I was really grateful for the amount of love that was shown to me. Oh, and one of the things that happened during the third trimester that really made me feel so much better was during one of the ultrasound scans, our baby gave us a thumbs up in the womb. And that was so sweet, and it just felt like heaven's way of saying to me that everything is going to be okay. And now at the end, I realized that yeah, everything is okay. So I would honestly fail this trimester, but now that I'm right at the end of it, I think okay, you know, on hindsight, I'll pass my third trimester as tough as it was. I'll give it a solid 6 out of 10. So I'm gonna close with some final thoughts. I am currently 39 weeks pregnant, as I said, and I would say this entire 9.5 month journey has been kind of crazy if I were to really reflect. There were so many moments that were such like life-changing growth moments for me, you know. I think it was a very strange existential experience. I think being pregnant is a very sobering kind of experience. Your worldview kind of changes. I'll give you an example, okay? So during my birthday this year, which was in July, it was the first time in my life where my birthday felt completely different. Yeah, it just didn't feel like the birthdays of other years. I felt like my birthday was just so insignificant. because I was so hyper aware of the fact that while I was celebrating my birthday, I'm creating the birthday of another human being. If that makes sense. Yeah, so that was kind of strange for me, where I just felt like suddenly there's this other birthday that feels more important than my own because I'm making this one. It's not that I just happen to have one. And I think, yeah, just carrying a baby just makes you feel right now that the world is so much bigger than just yourself, because now you are carrying a human life. And sometimes even when, especially when he moves, then you become so aware of this, right? There are days where he moves in there and it just feels like alien trying to escape. Like, honestly, it's a bit scary lah. That's just pretty much how I felt in the last 9.5 months. I can't believe in 1 more week's time I'm not gonna have a bump anymore. It's gonna be an actual freaking baby. But yeah, I could go on, but I think it's gonna be even longer video if I do. So, you know, if you guys have any questions, just feel free to ask them in the comments below. But for now, we've come to the end of my pregnancy review video. And if you enjoyed watching this, do give this video a like and subscribe. So thanks for watching, and here's marking the end of my pregnancy with the moment where I welcome my baby into the world.
Congratulations! Oh wow, that cute little baby. Kiss the baby.
Oh.
Congratulations.